So no formal intro today, just gonna dive right into the project. I'm going to use this Dollar Tree pool noodle and we're gonna bring the two ends together. I've shown this a couple times and I'll be sure to link some videos that will show the process. But I'm going to use some duct tape. I got the duct tape from Dollar Tree and I'm just going to bring the two ends together of the pool noodle and wrap the duct tape around the two ends. Now, after I wrap the duct tape, I like to just give it a little bit of a zhuzh and bring the pool noodle back to the circular shape. And now I'm going to use some Dollar Tree ribbon. This is from their Christmas line. And I just found one that I really liked. You can use whatever ribbon you want. I'm using some red ribbon here. As always, just folding down one end, hot gluing it to the duct tape, and then going to stagger wrapping the ribbon around the pool noodle. And you're just going to do this around the entire frame of the circle. Once you get to the end, you're just going to fold over the end and just hot glue it right down. Now I'm going to be using this 30-inch Christmas tree from Target's Bullseye Playground. I used this before in my Christmas Village wreath that I will link here. But essentially I'm just going to cut off all of the ends and hot glue them onto the wreath form. And I'm just going to kind of stagger them all the way around and just try to make as much of a, doesn't have to be completely uniform. You know, obviously wreaths are not completely uniform. There's little bits and pieces here and there, but just kind of wrapping it around. And then of course, I'm also using this Dollar Tree garland, cutting off some bits and pieces and including that into the wreath itself. Next, I'm just using this 12-pack of ornaments from Dollar Tree, and I pretty much use all of them with the exception of maybe a couple, but primarily I'm using the glossy versus the glitter ornaments. And I'm just going to go ahead and place them, arrange them in the way that I want on the wreath. This is completely subjective, so you do you in terms of the formation of the ornaments and how you want them to appear on your wreath. So I'm just going to go ahead and hot glue all of that down. Next, I'm using this pick that is just so beautiful. I got this from Hobby Lobby and they're 60% off sale. And I'm just going to go ahead and trim off all of the balls that are at the ends of the pick. And I'm going to use those and arrange them next to the ornaments that we just placed down. Now I found these decorative bells from Dollar Tree, and I again am just going to go ahead and arrange them around the same formation of the ornaments that we just placed down, and just going to wrap those all the way around the wreath. Also from Dollar Tree, I'm using this pine cone pick, and I'm just going to remove the pine cones from the pick and just place them around the ornament arrangement that we have going on around the circle of the wreath, and just continue to add pine cones. And I used about, I want to say 2 to 3 picks, and each pick had about 4 to 5 pine cones. So that's about as many as I used. Now on this channel, I never like to waste, so on that same pick with the pine cones, I'm going to be using some berries. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut those off and literally just sprinkle them all the way around the wreath. There's no rhyme or reason. You just hot glue them wherever you see fit. Now these I couldn't get on sale, but I got this from Hobby Lobby. They were about $2.99 a piece. I'm sure you could probably find them on Amazon as well. But I just bought 2 and I'm just placing one right at the bottom where I'm gonna have some ornamentation, and then right at the top as well. Also from Dollar Tree, I'm using this berry garland, which it looked like cranberries to me. And on the actual image of the wreath from Home Alone, it kind of looked like there were cherries or berries or cranberries, some type of berry around the wreath. So I thought this particular garland would be absolutely perfect. I just used one strand. I can't remember how long the strand is, but it was long enough to actually go around the wreath. So I just kind of place it down where I want, and then I hot glue bits and pieces just so that it's secured into place. From Dollar Tree, I'm using these small berries, and these are just little tiny picks. I separated them and just kind of put them wherever, kind of close to the holly berries that we placed earlier. And so I just put them all the way around the wreath. I used about 2 bags of these from Dollar Tree. Next, I'm using these white flowers from Dollar Tree, and I believe this is called the German status. Yeah, the German status. And then the other one is called Narcissus. I guess they're just type of flowers. But these were perfect because in the actual wreath in Home Alone, it kind of almost looked like popcorn, but then in other stills, it looked like white flowers. So I guess it's open to interpretation. Now from Amazon, I'm going to be using this red rope. I'm going to actually wrap this around some trumpets that I found from Walmart, and it was at a really good deal. I think it was like $188. So I'm using about 3 of these, and basically for 2 of them, I'm just going to use the rope and wrap it around the inner part. So I'm not wrapping the rope entirely to cover the whole horn bit, but I'm just going to wrap a little portion of it, as in different stills, again, you can kind of see some rope wrapped around the trumpets. So as you can see, I'm just kind of going in and wrapping it around. And then once I get it into place where I want, I hot glue the rope down to secure it. And then of course, I obviously hot glue the horns into place as well. So this little bit came as part of the trumpet decoration, so I removed it to actually wrap the rope around the trumpet, but of course don't like to waste, so I'm just going to go ahead and use that as a part of the decor. Now in the Home Alone wreath, there is a Santa as a centerpiece, and I couldn't find anything that looked like him, but this little guy I found from Walmart, that was close enough in my book. I didn't want to go ahead and break the bank looking for a Santa head, but this was perfect. So I went ahead and just removed his Santa cap, and then from Dollar Tree, I'm using this scarf, and I basically just am using it for the red fabric itself, and we're going to create a little bit of a hood on Santa. So as you can see here, kind of like the vintage Santas when he's using like a cape with the hood. And I'm just going to go ahead and trim off the ends and just start working the fabric around. So I start off by gluing the fabric onto the forehead of the Santa. And then at the back, you'll see that I hot glue it a little bit so I can create a little bit of a peak in terms of the hood itself. And then just kind of work the fabric around. So really no formula to this. It's just kind of forming the fabric so that it looks like the hood that Santa's wearing. From Dollar Tree, I'm using this hollyberry bush, and I just took off a couple of the leaves, and I'm just going to trim them down a little bit to just for size of the Santa head itself. And I'm just using 2 leaves here along with the hollyberries to decorate it. And if you can see in the image of the Santa, he does have a little bushel of hollyberries on his hat. Now, finding the right ribbon for this project was really hard, but Amazon for the win. I found this gorgeous ribbon. It is a little bit on the flimsy side, so keep that in mind. It is a wired ribbon, but I wish it had a little bit more weight to it, more substance, but it still worked for this project. So I'll go ahead and put a link to it in the description if you are interested in recreating this iconic wreath. But essentially here, what I'm doing, I'm just cutting some longer strips. I cut about 9 pieces here, and the strips that you cut are going to be indicative of how big your loops that you want. So obviously if you're going to cut your strips, you're just going to kind of fold it in half, and that will be the size of your loop. So really up to you. I basically take 3 loops and I zip tie them together, take another 3 loops, zip tie them together, and then the last set of 3, I zip tie them together. And then basically I just take all of them together, all 9, and zip tie them into one big bow. Now, right now it doesn't look like very much just because we have to kind of fluff it out. But once you get it fluffed out, it will start looking like a bow. And it's really pretty just how magical it ends up looking. But for the inner part, I take about 5 of the smaller strips. And again, sizing is going to be kind of how you want it to be. But basically, I just hot glue 2 ends together and then hot glue it into the center of the wreath. And you can organize this however you like and use as many strips as you want or loops as you want, just to make it as full as possible. And quite honestly, this is the easiest way I have found to create a big bow. I am not very good at making those beautiful bows. I've seen people kind of wrap loops around, and by some magic, some Christmas magic, it just becomes this phenomenal bow. But this is kind of the shortcut to creating a really nice bow without having to get entangled with all of those loops and wires and things like that. To secure the Santa head, I'm basically using 4 ornament balls in the 12, the 3, the 6, and the 9 position. And I'm using this illusion cord from Supplemax. This is something I got from Michaels. I'm attaching one end from one ornament ball to the next, and then attaching the other another strand of the illusion cord from one ornament ball to the other side. So we're going from 12 to 6 and then 3 to 9. I hope that makes sense. Now here I'm just taking some leftover pieces of the ribbon and I'm just going to hot glue one, almost like a sandwich, so that the cord is secure in between that sandwich of the ribbon. And then I'm just going to hot glue a little dab onto the tips of the ornament balls, just to make sure the cord doesn't unravel. And then I'm just going to hot glue Santa right into the center there. Next, I'm just going to hot glue our luscious bow right onto the very top of the wreath. And then for the tails, I basically cut 2 strands of ribbon on each side and I hot glue them together, so 2 strands together. And then I hot glue that right under the ribbon. So we're just kind of pretending that we made this beautiful bow and it's all intact. And then of course the other 2 strands, I'm just gonna hot glue onto the other side. Now I noticed in the pictures of the wreath from the movie that 2 strands were short and then 2 strands were kept long. So that's what I'm doing. So 1 strand on one side is gonna be short and then the other one is gonna be longer. And you're just going to repeat that on the other side. And then of course you're going to cut the ends at an angle so that it forms that polished ribbon end. Now to cover up some of the kind of blank space there where Santa is, I'm using from Dollar Tree these pine sticks, and I'm just going to go ahead and place them all the way around the wreath. And then additionally, I end up using a little bit of a wreath that I got from Michaels, and basically just cut off some of the ends, just like I did before with the garland from Dollar Tree, just to kind of fluff things up and again cover up some of the cording and whatnot. And then basically I'm just going to use whatever flowers I had left over and just add a little bit to that new addition of the garland that we just added in. And of course any berries that I had left over, just to again make it look full and cohesive. Now I'm using 2 fairy light packs from Dollar Tree, and I like to go ahead and wrap my lights around one side first, and I like to have the lights on so I can actually see how it's going to look. So basically I'm just kind of weaving it all the way around in between the branches. I don't want the wires to show as much, so I try to tuck it in as much as I possibly can, and then I hot glue a little bit of the wire down into certain places just to make sure it's secure. So this is what the back side of the wreath looks like. I have the illusion cord secured from the 12 position to the 6, and then from the 3 position to the 9, so kind of like on a clock face. And then as you can see, I have the battery packs kind of situated where it's on the inner ring of the wreath. And I did this so that it was just easier to kind of access. And basically I have them glued down so that the screw is facing out toward you, so that once it does run out of juice, I can easily replace it. And same thing for the other side. So as you can see, it just turns on really easily, and I love this feature. So here's a final look at the Home Alone wreath. I think it came out so incredibly well. I made do with sort of some of the elements that I could find in stores, Dollar Tree, Walmart, but I made the best of it, and I think that the outcome is absolute perfection. It reminds me so much of that scene. Now, granted, I wish that the Santa Claus head was bigger, but I was just trying to find what I could find in store, and I was even lucky to just find that little guy there. So other than that, this wreath is very inexpensive to make, and I think is a very good dupe to the movie itself. There aren't a lot of really good images and footage of the wreath itself in the movie, so I could only go off of the stills and a couple images that I found online, and then obviously rewatching the movie itself. But I love it. I say this about all my wreaths, but this one really is probably at the top for me at the present. It's just everything that Christmas means to me. It's so pretty. I love it so much. And my mom has already claimed this one. So this is gonna go live with my mom. But I know it's gonna be well loved. And then random, I had to include a little hidden Mickey. And then of course we have the lights at the very back, which I'm gonna go ahead and dim the light so you can actually see it with the lights off. So this is what it looks like with the lights off. I love it. Oh my gosh. It's just so magical to me with Santa poking his head out. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, go ahead and please give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel out. Comment down below. Tell me how much you love it. And if you are a fan of Home Alone, I'd love to know. Comment down below. And also subscribe to the channel. It also helps me out as well. So love you guys, and I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.